I'm Tom McMillan. Join me as I interview professional sports people on their journeys making it pro. I'm on a mission to explore the mental strength and dedication required to make it in professional sport. If you like what I'm doing, please remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Hope you enjoy the episode. Right, that's us on. Bob, thanks very much for joining us on Making It Pro. I'll just get straight in. The first question that I always like to ask is, what is your earliest football memory?
Earliest football memory, probably the first real memory I can remember is I remember going to Ibrox with my dad to watch training, like they were going to get autographs. I can remember being on my dad's shoulders. It was the old Albion car park at the time, and Soonest that was there.
Yeah.
Remember Durante, Graham Souness, all these sort of boys were brilliant, coming up and signing autographs and clapping you in the ear and all that, slapping you in the ear, having a laugh and a joke. And I think ever since then I probably got the bug, even though I must only have been about 4 or 5 at that time.
Aye.
And just going to see that, but didn't even see the training. It was not to do with training, it was to see the players coming out after it, with their soaking wet, with the kit and that on. I think I got the bug for then on, and that's when I started playing football, basically.
And see, for then, were you already like maybe playing in the street or playing with your pals? You know, just or at that point did you start to sit and look at a team at that early age?
No, because back then, Jesus, there wasn't what it's like now. There's like your kids are playing at 4-year-old and 5-year-old. At that age, I was running back in my back garden playing with my cousins and my uncles and things like that. There wasn't really teams at that age, so it didn't get until maybe you were 8, 9, 10. But probably under 10s was the first. I can remember going to Blue Star under 10s. And that was probably when it kicked off. And then was there? No, tell a lie, it must have been early in that. Must have been under 8s or something. And played with them for a couple of years, and then ended up playing against Rangers, and that's where I got picked up to start training with Rangers.
And can you remember back like starting to play, how you felt? You know, like being in a team and going to play at whatever competitive level it was at then. How you felt being part of something that structures a team.
I don't really remember. I can remember being scared because it wasn't the team that I played for wasn't like boys that I went to school with and stuff.
Yeah.
It was a different area, East End of Glasgow. So I lived in Springboig, and the Blue Star trained in Rickesy, in the big sports centre. So I had to, at that time, Springboig and Greenfield used to fight with Cran Hall, and then you had to go through Cran Hall to get to Rickesy. So it was a nightmare. And my mum and dad don't drive, so if I didn't get picked up, I used to have to run up, go the long way or whatever to get to training. So I can remember that was difficult, but I loved it. I kept on going every week, so I must have loved something about it. Got to know different people, met new pals. I would go at the weekends and stay with them. They would come stay with me. So I met a lot of people just doing that at that young age.
Aye. I know the feeling. I mind playing the Scottish Cup in Rickesy and we won, get chased off the park at the end of it. I don't know what you're talking about. Chased back to the bus. And see like that early stage. I mean, obviously, it's natural to get it for a parent, but did you have any sort of influence about you, Bob, to encourage you to go?
No, I don't actually know how I got into the team. To be fair, how I ended up going there. I don't know if it was something to do with my dad's pal or something. His boy played with a team, and I ended up getting in through that way. I don't remember, but my parents never pushed me.
Yeah.
Obviously, they knew I was into football because I had a ball if I could walk. I always had a ball next to me, so they knew that I was into it. But as I say, I was just lucky that my uncles and that could drive, so they luckily, if I needed to go anywhere, they would take me.
Yeah.
Because my parents couldn't drive. So, but as you get a wee bit older, then you can get buses and trains. As I had to, when I joined at Rangers, I had to get the train every day on the underground. So it wasn't a problem.
And so that step up when you say you played against Rangers and then they took an interest in you. What age were you then?
I would have been under 10s, So I'd been nine just turning 10. It was actually funny because we played. It must have been a cup game because we played. It was Rangers Boys Club we played, and we get beat 10-1, and I scored the goal. But at that time, I played up front. To be fair, don't know why I played up front, but I was playing up front. I scored the goal, and I did well in the game. And Ewan Chester was there as a scout.
Yeah.
And ever since that day, he asked me to go along to training. We used to train at Ibrox on a Tuesday and a Thursday, was it?
Yeah.
He asked me to go to training, and just ever since then, I was always involved. I still got to play with Blue Star on a Saturday, but trained with Rangers during the week.
I think, obviously, depending the era, some of the players that I've spoke to already, but it's one of the big things. I think then, I was speaking to Pizzo as well, it was the same, that you still get the familiarity playing with a club, that you were used to, but getting an opportunity to train with a professional club, which I think is, it's certainly coming through. I think it was encouraged boys to still develop rather than feeling they were, being kind of governed straight away at that young age, and I think a lot of players developed more freely in, but I don't know if you feel that yourself.
I think you're bang on. I think I don't know why everything got changed, because I thought the way it was happening was fine back then. Like, you could go. I can remember we had the opportunity to go. Probably me and Pizzo and a few of the other boys had the opportunities to go to different clubs down in England and up here. And but we were obviously Rangers fans, so we wanted to. There wasn't anywhere we wanted to be apart from Rangers, so there was no point in us going anywhere. But I can remember boys like Mikey Stewart, Stevie Caldwell. They were training with Newcastle, Man U, Rangers, Celtic. Do you know what I mean? 4 and 5 different teams. So that was mental, but they were always running about. And then obviously you get to that age where you've got to make a decision what team you want to go to. But we were fortunate that we were good enough to actually go in and play, even go into the youth setup. Pizzo was in a couple of months before me playing youth team games, and we were still only 15 and odd. So we were fortunate that way, but we've got that experience.
And see, when you were going through the changes, Bob, when you were getting involved at Rangers and you were getting noticed at Rangers stuff, did you feel, was there any sense of pressure of the environment? Obviously you talk about what it meant to you go to training and watch like Durante and players at that time that were idols of yours, and then all of a sudden, a short time later, 5, 6, 7 years later, during that very environment, did you ever feel pressured by it?
No, never pressured. Never pressured by the coaches to play well. Obviously, that's about the only thing. I was never named ever like sat me down and said you need to do this, you need to do that. But the same as I said to you, when I started playing football, I was a striker, and then when I left Blue Star, I went to Rangers Boys Club, and it was Charlie Muller's Uncle Benny, who was the coach of them. And he said to me, "Do you know fancy playing sweeper?" And I was like, "Sweeper?" And I went to play sweeper, and I loved it. And he said to me, "I think that would be your best position." But then, obviously, a couple of years later, when you're playing in the youth teams of Rangers, I was fortunate I could play centre half, centre mid, right wing back. So I was always that was fortunate for me that I could do that. But I was never put under pressure. I think you put pressure on yourself because you want to do well. But nobody ever said to me that I had to do it and drastically to play or anything.
I think that's another really good point you've made as well. Like, I know, especially for a striker, when you're young, like sometimes with parents, my boy scores, and they're trying to urge you to be in that attacking position. But getting the opportunity to play different positions so that you learn the game in a broader sense, but also that you understand the game. I think sometimes kids don't get the opportunity to get the benefit of that experience.
100%. My son's only 12, and he's no long just started playing football. He wasn't interested in it up until the lockdown, and then out playing with his pals in the street. Then he started getting love with the game. Started watching it in the telly. Started wanting to go out and join a team, and now he's with his wee local team, and they're doing well. And he started playing on the wing. Then he's playing up front now. He started scoring some goals, and then he's in his school team, but he's playing left back for his school team, and he's complaining. I'm like, Devin, that's what happens with you, man. You just need to. You're playing. That's what you want to do. You're playing the game. You don't like to be sitting on the bench. You should be happy to play anywhere.
I mean, a totally different story. But I coached a wee bit in the UK before we came here. And I mean, the players were young, and it was because of my own boys' involvement. But I used to rotate the players because at that level, it was still like 7-a-sides and things like that. So you know, wee park, it's easy. They're covering a lot of the ground. And I remember sort of debating it with a couple of parents. But that's what it was for. You know, I think if you're a young player and a manager pigeonholes you, and you remember back to sort of, I'm a bit older than you, but I remember, like, you know, I could always tackle with like a header a ball well, and you would get somebody who, like, because they drank in the local pub or they were associated to a club, some guy's going to tell you, right, you're a right back, and that's it, finished at that, or you're a left back or a centre back, and you would never get the opportunity to maybe you could score a goal, or maybe you were quick enough to play in a wing or 2 feet or whatever. And I always felt that for young players, getting an opportunity to explore where they might have a better position, like you getting a chance to go sweeper, not really necessarily maybe thinking about yourself, and all of a sudden, you know, your qualities as a defender are not up for question. But because you'd been a striker, you also know what a striker thinks.
Yeah. By the movements.
Absolutely. So you're able to read what a striker's going to do because you've played there, and then in some respects makes you a better defender.
No, 100%. I'm in total agreement with you. The perfect example for me is Alan Hutton. Alan Hutton was a central midfielder coming through the ranks of youth teams, and probably didn't play as much as he should have as a centre midfielder. But then we're getting close to the end of the season, and I think I don't remember the proper story, but I think he was just about to get released for the club.
Yeah.
And we played a reserve game, and there was a couple of boys that were running about the first team, Derek McInnes, Charlie Miller. We played against Dundee United, I think it was. And we didn't have a right back. So Bomber said to Alan Hutton, look, I think you're coming into the reserve team today, you're playing right back. And he was unbelievable. Up and down, getting cross into the box, defending brilliant. So for the next 3 or 4 games, he played there and he was class. And the gaffer said, he called him up to the first team. So he went from being 1 week getting released to then getting in the first team squad. And that was just a change of position.
And one of the best, especially the way, you know, the modern kind of wing back became, he's one of the best wing backs that's ever come out of Scottish football.
Yeah, exactly. And that was all because he changed, but the Bomber gave him a chance to play right back, and he took that chance. So within the space of maybe 2 or 3 months, he was playing in the first team regular.
And so, see, for you, once you came through, obviously playing at Rangers Boys Club, and things started to change, and you know, taking it, like coming up to like say an opportunity signing an S form, did you start to feel within yourself, Bobby, I could make it here? Were you ever aware of that, or were you just playing and enjoying it?
No, I was always just playing and enjoying it. I did have when you get the phone call to come up to Ibrox with your parents, we need to speak to you, and then you start going, oh shit, am I going to get released here? Am I going to? But normally, because I had played a few games when I hadn't signed S form yet, I had played a couple of games for the youth team, so I thought maybe I have a good chance of getting signed. But you're still panicking because you don't know the answer until we win. And that would be the only thing. I never ever thought I'd made it or anything until I was actually getting changed in the first team dressing room.
Yeah. And see, as you came through, obviously, because that is a big point. You know, I know even we talked to my own boy and boys that run about him, and you get that first opportunity getting in, you know, into the academy at that kind of 16 or whatever. And how easy it is for young boys and young lassies nowadays to feel, oh, I've made it, I'm at a club or a professional club. But were you conscious then, right now the hard work starts at that age? Like, did you just feel you wanted to push on?
We didn't have the option. It had to be hard work. Because my coach was John Brown, Bomber, and John McGregor. So there was never, even though you were good players, you still had to work your balls off to get recognised with them. Plus, when you're just signing this form, you're still a group of players that are a couple of years above you that are still playing in the youth team. So you've got to fight with them to try and get a game. But no, I think it was the best thing that ever happened for me was to go in at that year and that time to go in with their coaches, because they brought the best out of me.
And did you feel? I mean, obviously, you know, like again, not just at Rangers but in Scottish football, the two fellas in particular, obviously, Bomber is so well respected as a player and also as a coach, and what he's contributed overall at Rangers. But did he have a personal influence on you playing the position you were playing, and obviously John McGovern as well? But did they have an influence on you as an individual, your development and how you were approaching games and your preparation for games?
Well, the first few months was hard for me because we played a few Old Firm games and I got sent off in three Old Firm games in one season.
Is that right?
Bomber took it upon himself to try and get that side of it out of me, even though he loved his tackling and doing things like that. But it was just stupid on my part. But it was, I think, him taking me aside and giving me the pep talk that probably I needed at that time. It was a decision. But do you want to go and be an idiot and fucking throw your career away, or do you want to knuckle down and stop being stupid and getting sent off and play the game? And the funny thing was, he was going about asking everybody why do you think he's like this? But see, they didn't know that I was brought up in I was born in Brixton, so big Rangers area. And Durante says to him, I think you better go and speak to his dad. He was brought up in Brixton. So Bon was like, oh no.
Did you find, I know this is going to sound like a stupid question, I don't mean, you know, it's easy to see any player, whether it's a Celtic or Rangers player, you're going to be up for it more on the day in that particular game. But did you find in the lead up to the games, like mentally, could you feel yourself getting built up all week, knowing the game was coming? Did you think your approach was different mentally?
No, I don't know if it was just on the day, stupidity, because I'd played against Celtic millions of times in the under 70 or under 13s, 14s with Rangers, and never done anything like that. It was just stupidity on the day. And plus, what you've got to remember is you're still playing against the same players that you played growing up.
Absolutely.
So now all the players that were at Celtic at that time are playing the Celtic youth team. So it's all my pals that I grew up with in the Scotland teams. But it's just stupidity on the day, a stupid tackle or a slapping somebody or something stupid. But that got knocked out. Maybe it was the option I had today is knuckle down or else go somewhere else.
And were you, like, at the time, did you feel like, right, I'm aware of what I need to change now, obviously with their influence and advice, but were you able to mature quickly and deal with that, Bob, at that time?
Aye, 100%. Because see the good thing at Rangers at that time was everybody, no matter what age, as soon as when you're in the building, everybody's in the building. So I'm a 16-year-old, but I'm in the same area as Alan McCoy, Ian Durant, and George Alberts, all these guys. Walter Smith was the manager. So you're walking about, shitting yourself that you don't want to bump into the Walter Smith in case he asks you to do something and you fuck it up, or else one of the first team are asking you to do something. So, you're on the one area, so you're all in Ibrox, walking about, cleaning boots, doing kits. So, but the first team they were brilliant. They used to always look out for the results and then give you advice. And John Bomber was still involved with the first team at that time when he was coaching us. So he was training with the first team and coaching us.
Brilliant.
And playing in games and Champions League games and stuff. So it was mental, but we loved it, to be fair.
I think
see the good thing at that time as well, Tom, was no matter how, because obviously there's players like Charlie Miller who was a kid coming through as well. He's a couple of years older than us, getting in the first team in the 9-year team, and you can see that the pathway for you. Like, even though you're only under 16, but going to training in the bus, the two buses going to training. So the first team might be on a bus, and then the reserves and the youth team would be on another bus. But then on the way back, it'd be a free for all. Whoever's on the bus, the first bus is away, and then so you could end up on the way home with half the first team on your bus.
Brilliant.
But then everybody's hitting each other with bottle lids. And this is a story that I tell everybody coming back for training one day and going through the Clyde Tunnel. And obviously it's dark and people are hitting each other with bits of mud and what in the big Brian Reid.
Aye.
He was in the first team at the time. And Bomber stopped the bus. He's obviously looking in the mirror when he's driving and he's noticed the 3 or 4 people that are throwing the things. So as soon as we get through the Clyde Tunnel, he's went, named me and Pizzo were one, Brian Reid and another big boy, Michael Stone. He said, get off the bus. And we're like, what do you mean? He's like, get off the fucking bus and run back to Ibrox. So we had to run for the roundabout at the hospital all the way back to Ibrox through Drummoyne and all that. It was crazy. And then, but he's teaching us a lesson.
Brilliant. But see, you just went right on out the point I was just going to. I mean, that I think, see that where you can almost hang on to the shirt tails of the players that whose place you want to be filling. Having everybody. I know that now so many clubs, obviously, because the academies have expanded, that maybe the first team will train there and the reserves or the youth teams are training in a completely different location. I think having that environment where you're able to see exactly what it is you're trying to achieve is first class. I think and especially as you say, Bomber was still playing and coaching you. You said a direct link to the first team. You can see the possibility of achieving that. I think that's huge. I think for a lot of young players coming through, if they can't see the goal right in front of them, obviously you can see that, I want to be a first team player and I want to play first team. But if you can't see the connection between where you're standing in that day and how you're going to make, as you say, Charlie Miller was making that breakthrough. If he makes that breakthrough, you're sitting there saying, well, I can make it as well. Yeah. And I think that's really important for young players.
Yep, totally 100%. And that's why I don't know why he done it. Like, I can maybe understand because of coming through it. Liverpool, they want to be away from everybody, but when Steven Gerrard went to Rangers, they totally took the chance for the kids to watch them training and whatever for the youth pitches to the first team pitches, put a big barrier in a bit so nobody could see. Which is what if the kids got to spite it then because they don't see them, the players day in day out.
It's a really English thing, I think that as well. I know that my own son, when he was young, when we were in England, he was at Chelsea, and all the pitches are there. And then that's what they done. The area where the first team, they actually grew massive conifers that were like 50 feet high or something. And the pitch in itself, you could see the gap where they would walk through, but you couldn't really see the pitch. I know that to be fair at Chelsea, the first team players were always about. Like sometimes he would eat next. They had access, which was great. But I think it's really important for any young person to say that's where I'm trying to get to. And they've got to be able to reach out and see it and feel it and touch it and taste it. Or it just seems a million miles away.
Well, the good thing, see back in the day when Walter and Archie and that were involved, see if you were injured, they didn't like you sitting about Ibrox. They wanted you doing something, so you used to go up and collect balls for the first team.
Aye.
And I can remember one day I got injured in a game. So I think we played with the youth team on a Monday afternoon or something. And I wasn't injured, but my groin was a bit tight. So Bomber says to me, "Don't want you training for a couple of days." So on the Tuesday, I think it was the Tuesday that I'm up training. We might have been playing a Champions League game, the first team. And so they went training the Tuesday. And I think Goffey got a wee knock in training. So Archie's like, "Fuck, we need another player." And he's like to me, "Bob, get the bib." And I'm like, "Check, Annie, I'm injured." And he's like, "Listen, son, do you ever want to play for this fucking club?" And I'm like, "Of course I do." And he's like, "We'll get the fucking bib on then." So I've put the bib on, and big George Alberts had just got a free kick at that point. So I stepped in the wall, bang, free kick, hit me in the face. So I was knocked out.
Especially the way he struck a ball.
Walter and Archie can't stop the training. It was near the end of the training anyway, but they stopped it and they went like, "Right, that's us, get him, get back to Ibrox." And so I'm going back to Ibrox with ice pack in the face, and Bomber's like to me, "What the fuck happened to you? You're not meant to be training." I went, "I know, I told him I was injured, but he was adamant I was coming on." And then he's like to me, "Yeah, sure, you're fine," because Archie put me in training. I'm trying to do him a favour, but I get fined as well. But that was part and parcel of growing up.
But again, when you feel part of something, you know, in any basis, and you feel collectively part of everything that's going on there. It's massive. And all the wee instances are part of being part of that. But we've got two dogs, right? One of them, she's for the breed that it is, that they're supposed to live to 11. She's 13. It's living away, but her back legs are going, so she's half on a bed, and she's howling for me to lift her. Give me 2 seconds.
No problem.
A nightmare. As you were coming through then, and you start seeing the first teams within touching distance, like again, did you just have an inside, a kind of burning desire to go? And you never felt any time, like I've heard players talking about being overwhelmed with the environment they were in, and thinking, you know, as if, like, am I worthy to be part of this? Did you always just feel, no, the next step, I want to make it here?
No, I think you get when you go in, because you're training with guys that are 2 years older than you, straight to like pre-season through. I think once you're training, you're in possession, like doing things like that, possession and playing the games with these guys, and you realise that you can hold your own against them. Then I think you get the realisation that, well, I can handle it with these. This is my level at the minute.
Yeah,
I can handle it now. Even though I never played probably the first couple of months. But like everybody else, you need to bide your time, and as soon as you get that opportunity, you need to take it. And for me, I did. And even though I was only maybe 15, 16 at the time, I was playing a lot of games at that level. But I don't think I never thought, right, that's me. I'm here. I've made it.
Yeah,
Like that sort of way. I just always at the time be the best I could be at that level. And then if you stepped up, because there was Reserve League West games, there was Reserve League games, so there was hundreds of opportunity to play football. And it was just the same again. When you got the opportunity to do that, you had to do well to get the manager's eye.
That's the other thing as well. You've touched on it, Bob. Thanks. Really important is obviously, especially when there's squads of that size, and Rangers. As has always been the case, but obviously there's a lot of quality young players coming through at the same stage as you, but getting the opportunity to get minutes on the park, you know, the amount of, you see young players getting signed at academies and they might only be playing 20 minutes a week or half an hour or a half a week, and it's not enough, you know, to develop, but also to feel that opportunity, feel free to express yourself. You've got to be playing.
No, 100%. You've got to be playing. You've got to be playing no matter what level it is, and it's hard for, like, as I say, go back to even my son's team. I don't know why this rule exists. You're only allowed to name 16 players on the team sheet. So if you've got an under 12s kids team with 18 players, 2 of them have got to sit out. 2 of them can't play.
It's the same here.
It's rubbish. Why? So if you can play, if in a first team level you can name 9 subs, why can you not do that as a kid? Do you know what I mean? They're stopping people from playing football, and it's crazy. But that's the SFA for you. The rules are crazy.
It's the same here, Bob, and I totally agree, because it doesn't matter what 2 wins it is. Whatever the 2 wins that are left out every week are left asking themselves a question, and that's seeded out. Aye, that's right. At a young age, it's terrible.
At that age, but and the thing is as well, the man, there's different ways to deal with things. I suppose you can be honest with him and say, look, we can only name 16, or what the manager's trying to do is still strip them, and make them try to be part of the team, but obviously they can't. They don't go on, which is hard as well, because the boys are going, they're not getting on. I don't know. It's a hard one, but I just don't know why it happens. You should be allowed to, at that age, you should name as many subs as you want and be able to rotate as many as you want.
And that's the other thing as well, is that rotation, especially as you say, now that they've upped the number of subs at first team and professional level, that, you know, what would it take to just make sure that, especially when you're only dealing with 2 extra players, to try and get the players involved and get them playing at least some part of the game. So as you came through then and started touching on the first team, and then the opportunity came getting the first team, and obviously it was a strong first team. How did you sort of, again, with that transformation and the like, cope with, even sort of obviously support for your parents stuff, but did you feel you could take all that in your stride, coming through to make, like, your first team debut? Did you just take it in your stride, or were you aware of the enormity of the opportunity?
No, Tom, I was quite fortunate to see. I was talking about earlier with Walter and Archie and that. We used to, like back in the day. There was hamper boys. Obviously, we used to go and take the hampers with the kit, with Jimmy Bell, the kit man.
Yeah.
And I can remember there was a friendly against Rafe Rovers Rafe Rovers when they had the old grass park, and it was all the 9-year-old teams, Gaza, Lounge up and that were playing, and I can remember Archie Knox saying to me, "Bring your boots. You can get and kick a ball about in the warm up, do the warm up." I was like, brilliant. And I actually started that game, and that was the first time I'd actually shit myself and thinking, "Oh shit." But I was lucky because I didn't have time to think about it. I was just straight on.
And you think that was deliberate? That was how they handled you handling it. Like, don't tell you at the last minute, and then you're playing.
Aye, it was like give me a wee buzz because I was going to be going kicking the ball about, but no thinking I was going to be playing, and then end up starting the game. So, and then it's how you handle it for there. I think that's why they throw you in when they see how can he handle it? Can he hold his own playing against grown men? And who it would have been Kevin Twaddle. I was playing against Kevin Twaddle, so he was a seasoned pro.
Yeah.
Very very fast. How could I handle that? And since then I wasn't involved with the first team, but I could go up and I could hold more in training and stuff like that, and that I suppose they could trust me to if they needed an extra player, I could get called up. But
What
there was
age were you
loads
then,
of
Bob?
players like that. At that time, must have only been 17.
Brilliant.
17. But that's when I realised, like, now you've got a wee opportunity, you've had the taste of it. Now you need to knuckle down and, like, because there were still reserves at that point, so you're playing with. So my reserve team would have been, even though I was only 17, Durante, Stuart McCall when he's coming back from injury, Ian Ferguson, Bomber was playing. So it was really squad. Charlie Muller mostly. If he wasn't playing the first team, would play. It was crazy. It was all the 9-year-old team who weren't playing in the first team were coming down and playing reserves, and you were getting an opportunity every week to play in that.
And did you feel the benefit, obviously, that experience being round about you? Were they supportive and helping, ensuring you were developing at that young age as well as part of the team?
Yeah, definitely. That, especially what the Scottish boys that are coming through that have done it the same way that I'm trying to do it. Like making, as I said, some games of the reserves I'd play right wing back because Bob used to like playing 3 at the back, so I would have to play right wing back some of the games. And if you put a good cross in or you score a goal for a cross, then you've got Durante and guys like that who are cuddling you, Greg Crow's son and all that, clapping you in the back. And that's what gives you the confidence to go down and go and kick on.
Aye. And then as you came through, then Bob, like obviously you'd still be sort of like coming through as a youth player at a point. But at what point did you feel, like getting offered your first full professional contract, and then you're a recognised first team player? Like, did your mentality change at all then, or again was it just the determination to keep making progress and moving forward?
Just the determination. I think when I was signing my first pro contract, there was a bit of interest for teams. Like I think it was Udinese in Italy. I don't know how that came about. It was my agent that said to me, "There's an interest. Would you be interested in going?" I was like, "No," but I used that as a thing for my contract wise.
Negotiating it.
But it was the same as everybody used to be on the same money at that time. It was like, I can't remember the exact amount. I think it was like your first year apprentice was £62, and then it went up to £85 or something. And then first year pro was a certain amount, second year pro was a certain amount. But no, as soon as that, but I realised when I had to like take it serious was we went to Australia, and we had a game. Remember, the Rangers done a deal with Northern Spirit at that time. It was a team in Sydney, and they had done sent some reserve players over to play in their team to help them. It was like a partnership thing they done with David Murray's son. We went and played them in a game, and we played against the Australian national team under 21 or 23s it would have been. And the whole point of it was Dick Advocat was looking at a player, Lubo Mladenovic or something.
Yeah.
A big Australian boy. I think he had a Croatian background or something.
Yeah.
And the rumours were that the Rangers were trying to sign him, but he played the same position as me.
Yeah.
So my full thinking that for that full trip was, I need to prove that I'm better than him.
Aye.
And that's what I done. Soon as we come back for that trip, John McGregor said he's not any better than Bob Malcom. So if you're going to promote anybody, he was well promoting him.
Aye,
And since then, I started training more with the first team and being involved in the squads and stuff.
See that kind of pressure, which obviously happens to players through at every level, and the sort of threat is somebody's going to, there's and sometimes actually you see clubs where that, like an international, or sometimes they can get caught up in buying a player, and you see even where players breaking into first team, but the fans want to see like an international signing because it's good for the papers. But did like seeing that kind of moment, did you say no? I mean, I know what kind of player obviously you were, so that's the determination you played with. But would you just say to yourself, no taking my shirt,
Yeah.
I'll be
Because
out the
the
road?
thing was there was an availability there, because I can remember we had a winter break and I was in the squad, and I'd seen the actual bit of paper where the squad was to go. I think the first team were going to LA,
Yeah,
and they were playing a couple of games, and I was on the squad list to go, and we just signed Lee Feeney,
yeah,
and so I ended up coming out of the squad, and Lee Feeney went into it, and then I was ever since then I had a beam up on it that that was it. That's not going to happen again.
aye,
And I'm going to say I kicked on as soon as I came back from there. I had the determination that named at my age or in my team was going to get into the first team before me.
aye. I mean, that's enormous mental strength. I mean, it's because the disappointment of being left out, especially after, as far as you were concerned, that time you were in. Did that kind of situation raise doubts in your head, or were you the opposite? Well, did you just decide, well, that's not happening again? Did you get any personal doubts about your place or how you felt?
I had I played a charity game. I made my debut for Rangers, and I think I played 3 or 4 games at the end of the season, and then I was due to the next season, like, because it used to be when we were kids, it was
Yeah,
numbers on your training kit, but the first team had their initials.
yeah,
So I'd come back in pre-season, and my initials were all on my stuff. So I'm
yeah,
like, is that me in the first team now? But
uh,
you don't know until Dick Advocat says to you, right, come up and that's sure with us now.
yeah.
But I played in a charity game or a charity 5-side tournament and got caught, and Dick used it as
Well,
I don't know. I let him. It was like he made it against me. Basically, didn't see it as being professional or whatever. So at that point, I'm thinking, well, I've still got 2 years left in my contract, but happens here then? Or
aye,
I had a year, I had that full season to go, and basically what happened, he told my agent, he says, you need to get him a club. He says, he doesn't want me here because of what I've done.
yeah,
And he's trying to explain to him, it was for charity, and he's like, I don't care, it's not professional.
yeah,
He needs professional players here. And basically because it wasn't, he didn't sanction it or whatever it was. But
aye,
so I ended up playing a game for Clydebank. Derek Ferguson was I don't know if he was a manager or assistant manager, and they played a game against Wigan. And Dick Advocat gave permission for me to play in that game because Wigan were wanting to see me.
yeah,
So I went down, travelled down, played in the game, and then the manager was Paul Joe.
yeah.
Is it Paul Joe?
Aye, he was a
He was
good
the
manager as
manager.
well.
And Lee McCulloch that was playing for Wigan, him and Gary Teal. And basically he said to me, can I sign him because he wants to play football?
Aye,
And my agent's like, what do you mean? Of course he wants to play football. He's like, that's not the way we play here. So
aye.
it's back to
That
front
was
then. So that fell through. And luckily for me, another stroke of luck was Dick went upstairs and Art McLeish came in.
aye,
And he said he knew all about what had happened. And he says to me, look, there's 8, 9, 10 games, big games left. We had no chance of winning the league. So he said, I'm going to put you in. So it's up to you what you do in the games to prove to me that you deserve a contract.
yeah,
And then luckily for me, I think I played 7 or 8 of the games out of the 10. and we got to the Scottish Cup final, and obviously I got left out because Tony Vidmar, that was when he could play. He was the same as me, he could play in a few different positions, so the gaffer went to him. But totally understood it. But I was just happy that I knew that I'd done my bit.
Yeah.
Then it was up to the club to offer me a contract after that, and they did do. But I didn't jump in. I left it as long as I possibly could before I signed it. I think I went back training the following season and started pre-season without even having my contract signed. But I always knew myself that I was going to sign it. I was just trying to do a wee bit of what they done to me.
Were you good at handling these situations emotionally? Like, see, even while that's hanging like that, Bob, did it affect you at all playing? I know that was over a close season, but with that, where sometimes when a thing's hanging over you, it can be worse than actually just dealing with it.
Mm-hmm.
Were you always all right dealing with that?
I don't. I've got a weird thing. I can always seem to put things to the back of my head. See if there's a problem, I can put it to the back of my head and forget about it. But obviously, it arises at some point again. So that I've always done that. I don't know why I've always done that. It's something I've always done, and like I know there's a lot of people saying mental health stuff and things now. Like I never go into all that stuff. I don't know. I just always thought if there was a problem, then that never affected what I done in the football pitch. If you know what I mean. Whatever problem I had outside, then I dealt with outside. And as soon as I went to training, then I trained, and that took my mind off everything. So I used to love going into training when, like, if I fell out with my girlfriend or split up with my girlfriend or whatever, that took my mind away from it. So I don't know why. Well, saying everybody's different, so I can never say that's no.
But that is at the heart of what I'm kind of trying to aiming to get at. So it's really good to hear you sort of sharing that. It makes a massive difference. See the times as well, Bob. Obviously, the game had modernised a lot, like even in the difference age, say, between us. But did you, like say agents were already playing a much bigger role in a player's career, but see if you had situations like that, did you talk to anybody about it, or like your girlfriend or your family, or did you just deal with these things yourself internally?
No, that was me. I was anything to do with football. I made the decision, and obviously that I would probably, in fact, I don't even know if I sat down and spoke. I would maybe speak to my mum and dad, and say that I've been offered this or whatever. What you think? But they would never make a decision for me. I would do that myself. But I was never, as I say, even growing up when I was a kid, never put under any pressure with any of my family to do it. I think that maybe you get a realisation where at some point, it's even though you don't want to, you need to leave. If it's not happening for you, you need to go.
Yeah.
But then that's every walk of life. That's not just football.
Absolutely. Aye. And so then obviously under Alec McLeish, and then you'd signed and settled in. Did you feel then that again, like all the other sort of times where you were sort of touching on the first team, but you felt then that's me, sort of part and parcel with the first team setup?
That's when Dick had left and Alec came in. Then I was brought up to the first team dressing room. I got changed with the lads. Saying that, Alec done that when straight away. He's like, look, you're going to be in the squad for the next however many weeks is left of the season. So I want you up changing with the first team.
Yeah.
And then ever since that, I never came out the changing room. I stayed there, and I kicked on. But then once you're in the changing room, and I was lucky that I used to travel with Craig Muir and Alec Barry Ferguson.
Yeah.
They were two club captains.
Aye.
So even though they were my pals, they still give you a wee bit of advice.
Yeah.
Because I was only 20, 21, so I was still only young.
Yeah.
And Stevie Hughes used to travel with us as well, and he was a couple of years younger than me. So, but when you're part of it, you're part of it. You know, because you're younger, then you're pushed to the side a bit. Once you're in. And then it's up to you to do your best to get in the team.
And they were natural leaders as well. Barry, I know Craig, but I knew Barry well. But Barry was a leader through and through. And he said I loved everything that came with that. So I can imagine the type of influence he would have been you know, regardless of how close your age was, he was just that way inclined, I think, Barry. But and so
Barry had a weird way of dealing with things, as in, like I said to you, I was different. I just used to go on and play football and go and then deal with that. He used to have he would say to himself, see if I don't run that extra 20 yards, my kid's going to die, or something stupid like that. So then he would just keep on running and running and running. And that's what he used to always have in his mind. And that's, I don't know if that's what got him to the levels that he got to, but that thinking.
Did you find, like, even in that group, because obviously it was a strong group of players, like, would that rub off on you, like, sort of, you know, because sometimes that suits that type of mindset, but it doesn't suit everybody, you know, and I can get behind that. Like, even myself growing up, you know, you would have sort of wee insecurities, so you would say, well, you know, you would try and work that far away from what made you feel insecure that you would go too extreme, you know. Like, did you find a lot of the kind of things healthy in the group and kind of tended to, would that spur you on, or again, like, I can tell, Bob, obviously with some of the things you've said, just how single-minded you were about what you were doing. Were you always able to just focus on what your role was and what you were contributing to the team?
I used to say, lucky for me again, that Jan Wouters was there. Done the same as me. He was a centre half and then played midfield as well. So he knew exactly what I was going through. And he used to take me after training and he's like, come on, we'll go and work for half an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
And he used to cross balls into the box, tell me my body position, make me sharper, do things, because obviously I didn't have pace. And Jan knew that he didn't have pace. He's like, so if you've not got pace, then you need to be sharp.
Yeah.
So you be able to the 10, 15 yard sprints, then you need to be good at that, so that you're no, because I was good at reading the game, so I knew that I wouldn't have to have a leg race with anybody, or no often. So he used to work on that with me, and then the gaffer used to take me away and work in heading and the same thing. And so I was lucky that the two of them took the time to do that. They obviously seen the potential in me that I could have come into the first team. But the thing for me was I had Lorenzo Amoruso, Craig Moore, and Bert Konteman. All like Lorenzo Amoruso, obviously, he wasn't I don't know if he was Italian international, but obviously a big personality. Craig Moore and Bert were both internationals, so to try and get them out the team was near nigh impossible. But I had to put myself in a position where if one of them got injured, then I was the one that was getting them on to play.
Was there any times that was deflating, Bob? You're looking there, and obviously, as you say, you're talking about, you know, two internationals and three international, but you know, Amoruso was such a massive character in Scottish football. You couldn't imagine any point him getting dropped. Craig Moore was such a consistent player, more than Bert Konteman, I think it's fair to say. But obviously, you know, Bert Konteman's a Dutch internationalist that doesn't get much higher than that. So did it ever kind of, you know, no raise doubts in your ability, but you thinking, like, am I going to even get the opportunity to break through here, or were you able to sort of stick to that focus? One of them gets injured, I'm in.
I know that was, see, that's another thing with growing up with the mentality, the 9 in a row squad or whatever. And playing under Bomber was, you need to have that confidence in your own ability. Which I did have. I knew that if I had a steadiness about me that I could, like, nothing really fazed me. So I was laid back. I wasn't like in anybody's face. Don't get, when I was on the pitch, and obviously it's a different animal. But I knew that growing up, it was always, Rangers fans always wanted the big European players to come and play, and there wasn't a lot of Scottish players when, obviously, after Walwood left. Dick brought in a lot of foreigners, so I knew that's the way it was. But so I just had to have the mindset where if you get the chance, then you need to be able to go out there and do the business. And fortunately I did, and that's why the gaffer trusted me as much as what he did.
And I think as well, obviously, the other thing that comes into the play, and given that obviously you were a homegrown player and you came through academy and being Scottish, and the fans relate better, I think. You know, especially I think in Scotland, or you take places like Liverpool and Newcastle, but the relationship with the fans, the way that you played, the style of player you were, I think I would imagine that must help, because your relationship with the fans is there, because you know you're like a fan on the park representing the club that they love as much as they know you do.
Aye, it did. The fans were always, listen, we've always had bad times with the fans as well, even though the good times. But I think just I think the big thing, see if you give 100% effort, then the fans they'll always respect you, even if you're not having a good game. As long as you put the shift in, then they'll go out. Like, they never played well, but the era that I was coming through was there was a lot of the Scottish boys seemed to take the brunt of it. The bad runs we were on, because all the Scottish boys at that time were young. It was me, Maurice Ross, Alan Hutton, Charlie Adam hadn't really broke through then at that point. Stevie Hughes was in. Big Tom Wood came at that time. So if we were under the pump, then we were the ones that were getting the blame for it. Fergie was even getting it. He was the captain and probably the best player at that time.
Yeah. And
he was even getting it. So, but that's what I say. That's Rangers. That's what you need to deal with. If you can't deal with that, then you're never going to make it.
I think, and that is again, if it's fair to say, like a wee bit of Scottish trait. You know, you see it at Celtic as well, that you know you think the players, international players that have come in and out, and sometimes I think get a greater benefit of doubt than maybe they deserved, and the Scottish players were maybe first to be penalised or punished. You know, how did you find that? I mean, in the likes of, I don't mean personally in the dressing room or singling anybody out, but said obviously at a club the size of Rangers and with the success that Rangers have had, that influence or that mix of Scottish players and international players, for you personally, was that tricky at times, or did you find everybody still knew what the common goal was?
There was no. There was cliques. Obviously, there was different nationalities. There was French, Dutch, Scottish. So naturally, they're all going to. There's going to be wee cliques, but never like did anybody hate each other or be against anybody. We were all together. We all had a laugh and joke together. We would all like team training, and the gaffer would try and do a wee tournament where it would be maybe the Dutch against the French against the Scottish, like a wee round robin. And then they would end up being riots because everybody wants to win.
Aye.
But that was just thing. You were a winner. You brought up a winner, and it wasn't acceptable getting beat any games at Rangers, and that carried on for the under 15s right through to the first team.
And then obviously the success that you had yourself at Rangers and you know, winning cups, winning like how did that sense of achievement, achieving that success yourself as a young player, and having been at Rangers for such a long time for a young age, how did it feel getting your first sort of major success at the club?
It was the first league. Well, I'd been involved in 2 league titles with Dick, and but I didn't really feel. I didn't celebrate them as much as what I should have, probably because I didn't feel part of it because I never played a lot of the games.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel. And I was young as well, so I didn't want to be the same as like Fergie and that gone mental, and because obviously they were the ones that done the dirty work. They played all the games. I was just there picking up a medal at the end of the season for hardly doing anything. So didn't feel part of the ones, but obviously the two under Big Alec, I felt more a party because I'd played most of the games at the seasons.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't play in the games. The big games at the last game of the season, they both one at Hibs and one at Ibrox.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't take part of them, I still celebrated the goals like it was maybe going to be my last game or whatever.
Yeah.
And the cups were obviously, you never know, they're 50-50 on the day. And luckily enough, the ones that I played in, they won.
Yeah.
So it was, the experience was crazy. Something that will live with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And something that I dreamt about every day when I was going to my bed when I was a kid.
Yeah. And sort of then, you know, as other young players were coming through, Bob came through at the club, did you find, you know, you were able to then pass on the the sort of same type of experience that had been offered to you when you were coming through with like Saboma and some of the senior players that you looked up to? Did you feel you were in a position in passing that on as other young players came through to sort of catch on to yourself?
I think if you ask, I was never. I think like Barry's totally different for me. He's the captain. He would always be on your back, whereas I'm the opposite for that. I wouldn't be on MD's case. I would, if somebody done something good, I would be saying, "Well done, brilliant. That's, keep doing that. Keep doing things." Or if he done something bad, I would say to him, "Come on, fucking, you've got to be better than that." But Fergie was the same. Everybody, it didn't matter if you were a seasoned pro or a kid. He was on your case because he wanted the best, and that was the way he done it. And he got the best of everybody. Whereas I was obviously a wee bit different, where I would do it in a different way, but still try and no be on anybody's back. I know what it's like as you're a kid. If you're shouting, somebody's shouting at you all the time, then you think, am I good enough to be here or whatever? So you don't want to put somebody in that position.
That's a big part of it as well. And obviously you look at the influence of the coaches you had run about you coming through your career and the positive influence of them. But I think, you know, they always say there's some people react well being shouted at and some people need an arm on the shoulder. And I think it's knowing what players will react best to what type of approach. And I think as the coaches have modernised over the years, then they've become more aware of it. But I know even myself, when you're growing up, there was none of that. You just get shouted at, you know, and that was the old method kind of thing. But obviously, and you take like the Dutch influence, obviously, at Rangers, and you look at the Dutch influence all the way through European football and world football, but European football for the likes of Cruyff and that, it's definitely influenced the style of coaching. And obviously now, when you look at football now and you think for when you were playing yourself at that level, there's so many outside influences now for young players, social media, and obviously because of social media, young players are getting seen more publicly. So you've got the influence of maybe, you know, lassies or boys or whatever, or different things. Like all your pals you sort of grew up with, and as you were starting to sort of make it at Rangers, how did you find your own sort of world round about you reacted to you? Did you feel any pressure for pals or girlfriends or anything? Did that affect you at all?
No, never. To be honest, I've never changed, Tom. I've never. If my parents grew up and still live in the same house in Springboig. Used to be a pub in Buthill where Malcom and that used to drink. I used to drink in it myself when I was allowed to drink. Malcom's not. There's a bookies there. There's a pub. There's a lawyer's, a roll shop. And after training every day, I used to go there. I used to go and sit in the pub and play pool. Even though I wasn't drinking, still play pool, play the puggy machine, going in and out the bookies. Didn't gamble, still just went in and out the bookies because I knew people that were in there. Hang about the street corner. And then probably, in fact, I done that, not every day, but still done it maybe once, twice a week. Even when I was playing, like the big games, build up to all firm games, still do it. Didn't matter if everybody knew I played for Rangers, but they would have a laugh and a joke. They wouldn't bother me.
Do you feel, see, like especially coming up to big games, did that help you keep your feet in the ground, Bob, and stay grounded coming up to, because obviously they're massive games and you know the impact it is for both sets of fans if it's an all firm game, but like European games, did you feel you were able to, that helped keep you in a kind of grounded level leading up to big games like that?
100%. My uncle, who at that time I would always be on about, he was a Celtic fan, so coming up to the games he would say to me, "Oh, we're going to Barry's this week and all that," and I'd be like, "So he's fucking well, whatever." And then if we won, then I'd be in and he'd be the first one to the bar buying me a drink. And if we get beat, then I would go and get them a drink. That's just the way it was. There was never any fighting through it or anything like that. But I knew that I had to go and produce because I didn't want to be the one going back to them getting slagged for the night without having a drink. So, but at that time, fortunately enough, it was Eachy Peachy. Rangers were running games, Celtic were running. Like we would go and get beat 6-2 at Parkhead, and then we'd go and 1-5-1 at Ibrox, and then it'd be the same. So it was lucky. We were lucky that way that we're never getting battered every game.
And now, sort of looking at the game as it is, well, how do you feel like is there changes in the game now that you think, you know, the likes of maybe influence for people outside the game? You look at, obviously, agents are a massive influence in the game. You see a situation that's happened this week with Ronaldo, and you can bet that they've got the next move already pre-planned before it. But do you think the game there, you know, do you think there's been changes for the better now as far as outside influences to players, or do you think then it was easier for a player to stay centralised on just playing football?
I think players now run more with agents and what. I think it's more commercialised, the game now. I think back in the day it was well, I wouldn't say better, but it was, you could deal with things a lot better. Like you weren't out in the public eye. You've about drinking, but you wouldn't be people taking pictures of you and taking camp videos and all that. But I just think the game's went back a bit. I don't know. There's too many coaches trying to come up with crazy ideas, and then people are buying into it, and then everybody's buying into it, and it's gone total, like, for different formations and coming up with different sayings. Just the game's a game. It's 11 guys against 11 guys. Just go and play football and try and win a game. It's no rocket science. Some of the training sessions that you see people putting out on Twitter and things, you're like, Jesus Christ, how they meant to? How is kids coming into a first team meant to try and understand that? It's crazy, but
it
these are the
puts
guys that are in
pressure
jobs.
on. I totally agree with you. I think it puts unnecessary pressures on them. The great quote for Cruyff, which still stands today, said the most difficult thing in football is getting good players to keep it simple. And I think if coaches don't adhere to that as well, it gets tougher and tougher for young players to understand the game and understand what's been expected. And I think, you know, when you look back then, and if you were a team that, for instance, played a 4-4-2 on a regular basis or a 4-3-3 on a regular basis, you knew what your job was week in, week out. And I think when you see, you know, especially if a manager's getting a bad run of results and starts changing it, and then 2 weeks later changing it, or they're changing one key player, and you end up, there's no fluency, the style of player for players to try and get a grip. Everybody goes through a wee bad patch, 3-4 games, but the changing, I think, can upset them. And so, if you reflect now, Bob, if you obviously, your own son's sort of early stages, he's starting to go through his own journey, but, you know, if you could give any young player advice, taking on your experience of the game, what would you say to any young player going through academies into, you know, if they were following your footsteps, what would be the best advice you could offer them?
Yeah, I think as a kid coming through, you've got to give maximum effort. Run until you can't run anymore. I think that's important. The effort that you put in, and then the quality always comes. The quality comes with it. If you've not got the quality, then the understanding of the game. And I think kids see, because the kids are playing FIFA and they're watching games, they're watching their idols playing the TV, then they have a better understanding of the game than what I did when I was coming through. The way I learned was I had a paper run, so I took the ball with me, and I used to pretend that the gates in between the hedges were goals, and I used to bend the bonds, things like that, just make things up myself. But kids now they're playing FIFA, so they know how to do a trick or how to do things like that. So they've got a better understanding of the game. So if they give maximum effort, then they've got half a chance. It's just a bit of luck you need then after that to get picked up and go into. Sometimes it's not the best. It's a bit of luck as well. Sometimes it's not always the best to be at Rangers or Celtic to make a career for yourself. Sometimes you maybe need to start at a smaller club like Livingston and do well there, and then get a move to a bigger club. So I think if you're a young kid at the Old Firm, then if you get to 16, 17 and you get let go, then it's not the end of the world. Lots of people have went and left at Old Firm clubs at that age and went on and had a better career than what they probably had if they stayed at Rangers and Celtic. So it's never the end of the world. You only get out what you put in. So that's why I say to my son, as long as you give him maximum effort as much as you can, and that whatever time you're playing the pitch, if it's 10 minutes or if it's 90, then you'll get your rewards back at the end of the day.
I think that's massive, actually. And see, you only need to look at, you look at De Bruyne, Salah, and everyone, the players that get released to Chelsea and how they're, I mean, De Bruyne, imagine, to say released, but he gets sold for low money as far as Chelsea were concerned at the time, and look at the talent it's developed. And I think as well, players develop at different ages and different stages. I think now, because Jamie Vardy's obviously the biggest highlight, but the amount of players that are actually getting longer to develop, and clubs are now allowing them longer to develop to see what happens. And he's opened the door for a lot of players coming through that have not just been in the academy structure, which I think is a positive thing.
Well, the good thing, Tom, is in England especially, they've got under 23s, so they're given that extra 3 or 4 years to get an opportunity to go and play in a first team. Because up here, if you're not playing with a team in Scotland at 21, 22, then you're seen as you're not going to make it. You've not got a chance.
Yeah.
But I've seen over the last couple of years kids who are getting released for Rangers at 18, 19, going down to play for a Watford or a Crystal Palace under 23s.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant, because at least they're getting that opportunity then to kick on. Even though they're not getting the opportunity to step into the B teams, the Rangers or whatever, they're getting that opportunity to go down to a great club and try and progress their careers, which I think is massive, because the amount of players down there, how can we know, like Rangers and Celtic know, they bring in players for these clubs that are under 23s, because they've got to be better than some of the players that are there.
I think losing the reserve, I totally agree with you. I mean, obviously there's more money in the English game, and that's maybe what's facilitating them being able to keep that extra year. But I totally agree with you, Bob. I mean, I know even my own son's 16, as I said, he's fortunate enough he's been taken in at Aldershot. He's got a 2-year scholarship there. But see, up until about 18 months ago, he just hadn't grown at the same rate as the boys at his age.
Mm-hmm.
And then over the course of the last year, he's 6'1".
Yeah.
And I always said to him, because he was smaller, he had to be able to play, because he didn't have the physicality. So he's technical, and that helped him. Now, because he's got the height, his pace came back. It took him probably about 9 months to get used to the length of his legs and learn how to run right again. But I think that's why all the things that you've just said are so important, because if you are a late developer, there'll be players getting missed that in actual fact are worthy a fair opportunity that they're just not getting, So I think you're absolutely right.
I think it's emotions as well with kids.
Aye.
Like when they're dealing with 12-year-olds, why am I not playing it? Why did I only play for 10 minutes? And I keep wanting having to say to him, Devin, you've only just started playing the game.
Yeah.
You've only started playing football 6 months ago with a team, or 8 months ago.
Yeah.
See, these boys have been playing since they've been 4.
Aye.
So they've got all the years ahead of you.
Yeah.
Just enjoy whatever minutes you get. And whatever minutes you get, if it's 10 minutes, then you've got to prove to the manager that then you deserve to start the next game.
Aye, that's it.
And now he's taking that on board, and he knows the things that he's all right at, and he knows the things that he's bad at. So he's trying to work on it. And listen, as long as he's enjoying it, I don't care. I'm never going to push him to make this his career.
Yeah. I know that's it. See, I think that's the other thing that's been evident with some of these academy programs that's been on the telly. You see, and as a parent myself, I try desperately not to be that. You see the negative effect it has in kids when the parents are too forceful on them, and again, it's interesting, you having the support of your parents, but no pressure, which is two different things. I think that's crucial.
I think we had the kids teams, we had a wee parents' night. It was like go out for a pint, and because sometimes you go to games and you say hello to them, but you don't really speak to the other parents.
Yeah.
So we went and had a wee night out, and we all sat and had a drink and had a good laugh. And some of the dads were saying to me, "But why do you never shout at the side of the pitch?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "That's not my job." And I'm like, "But your son's playing." And I went, "And what?" I says, "That's the manager's job and the coach." I says, "That's their job to shout him. If he needs advice from me after the game, then I'm more than happy to give him it. But it's not my job to shout and ball at him on the side of the pitch when he's playing football." And I think, but some parents do it, and some, to be fair, some of the kids, you see them getting a wee jolt when their parent shouts at them. But I don't want to be one of the parents that's shouting at the side of the pitch. I didn't like it when I was playing, so I wouldn't do it to my son.
I think it's vital. Do you know what? You look at obviously doing coaching buys and stuff, but you just wonder if it would benefit parents, maybe getting like an insight that I've done mine, Bob, and I remember there was actually a video they showed at the FA, and it was a kid on the park and the parents shouting and the manager shouting, and then it was like a kind of loudspeaker of the kid's thoughts. And I remember even sitting then as a parent, my boy was young at the time, and you're just sitting in horror, thinking about times maybe you have shouted. And in actual fact, the advice you've just gave and exactly the answer you've just gave, Lionel Messi was asked the exact same question. That's how he answered it. He said, "I'm not the coach. I'm only a parent." He said, "It's coach's job to coach him. It's not my job, and I'll help him if I can, but that's not what I'm here for." And it's a brilliant bit of advice. Bob, listen, I've covered every question. I cannot tell you how great it's been listening. It's invaluable, the experience that you share. And as I say, and I've said to Pizzo, see, being able to get an insight, it's really easy for anybody to sit and just look at your career or look at other players' careers and the success you had and the quality of players and the teams you played in, the players around about you. But to get an insight into how you feel when you're going through that, mate, honestly, I can't thank you enough. It's incredible.
No worries, mate. No worries. No worries, Tom. Thank you, mate. Thanks for listening.
No, I really appreciate it. It's been great talking to you. When I'm out here as well, there's nothing better than being able to hear the same tone and hearing a Scottish voice. It's brilliant, I find for about an hour after it, I'm swearing more than I've sworn in the last week. But honestly, it's been brilliant. It was funny. Just I'll let me end that just so that we'll cut it at that. Thanks for watching the latest episode of Making It Pro. Remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Look forward to sharing the next episode soon.